other thing to say is, so should we then take the July 9th letter and continue the system where Prabhupada is the guru and other people are gurus? So when a person gives Ritvik initiation, it seems to say in the July 9th letter that person should be a guru of the person who is initiated and should treat them as their disciple. Though Prabhupada is the Diksha Guru.
Like that. I don't have that in front of me, but if you read it carefully, it doesn't say that. I would tell you for sure. But all that needs to be done is what was done until the July 9th letter, which was the temple president sends a letter to Prabhupada saying such and so person wants to become a devotee. Well, at that time, they could send a letter to themselves saying, this person wants to be a devotee. I think he's following everything nicely. I will initiate him with an Agnihotra as Prabhupada's disciple. Why does there have to be anything fancy attached to it at all? You realize, like in Los Angeles, I don't know what it's like where you are. In Los Angeles, there's one fellow, Ravindranath, who does all the weddings. He does all the Anaprasana ceremonies. That means at 4 months, the child picks the coins or the books. He does all the Shraddha ceremonies. That means a ceremony to purify the aura of the person who just died. He can also do Diksha, and he can also do Brahman initiation. They're doing it anyhow.
Yeah, my apologies, Prabhu.
In other words, it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
my apologies. The big deal is the disciple agreeing to follow the more regulative principles, chant 16 rounds, do everything according to the Prabhupada's requirement for initiation, and then accepting that Prabhupada is his spiritual master and has accepted the disciple's karma. Now, if you have somebody else, guru, some ordinary guy appointed by the GBC of all people to be guru, and he gives initiation, whoever he initiates, he accepts the karma of the person he initiates. And what happens when he dies? He has not been able to get rid of the karma. He's not been able to pass it up through the disciplic succession, so that when the person dies who took initiation from this insufficient guru, he goes to where that insufficient guru went. Just like if you go to any cult and you follow the cult leader, and the cult leader dies and you die, you go to where he went because you gave your vow to give your life to him. People don't realize it. And what is it like? It's like marriage. When a husband dies, the wife goes to where the husband goes. Children go where the wife and husband go. So why would a person want to go to Kirtanananda Loka when they could go to Krishna Loka by having surrendered to Prabhupada? I mean, really. All I can say is, if you want to surrender to an ISKCON guru, be my guest. But I think the road ahead of you is going to be rather rocky.
No, I didn't want to surrender to him.
What?
I didn't want to surrender to an ISKCON guru. I wasn't referring to the July 9th. I was thinking of the appointment tape. Sorry. It's the appointment tape that says his grand disciple, when I order you become guru, he becomes regular guru.
What appointment tape? Meaning the July or May or whatever it was tape?
Yeah, the appointment tape where he explains specifically after.
Is it an appointment tape? When did it take place?
When did it take place? I don't know, but there's a recording and Prabhupada's talking on it. Some people have said it was doctored, but it does seem.
But something? The GBC.
There are parts of that tape which are not doctored, which are clearly audible.
It doesn't count. That tape does not count. Why?
There's Prabhupada's words on it, so it does count.
It doesn't count. And I will tell you why. Prabhupada one time said, and you may have heard this quote, when you're writing, you have to be very careful what you write. But when you speak, you can say any damn thing. His words, not mine. Prabhupada is well aware that that so-called appointment tape was not a legal document.
Oh.
And to give you even more emphasis, I was given a 7-hour deposition by the GBC over the Long Island Temple, and they came up with everything to try to prove that the Ritvik idea was concocted. And I was able to defeat them each time. And
yeah, so we actually...
Why, if they said that the gurus were bona fide, why didn't they quote the appointment tape, what you call the appointment tape? Why didn't they use it once in the deposition to prove that the gurus were bona fide?
Because wills and last will and testament has to be written. I mean, yeah, they accept video wills and things these days, but sometimes, but generally not really.
Yes, they will, but there has to be a court reporter there recording it in shorthand. There should be a videographer getting it on tape, and there should be lawyers there to bear witness.
Yeah. So they don't really accept it. They don't accept it in the same way they accept written things. They only accept it in very certain circumstances.
The appointment tapes did not count to ISKCON, the GBC's lawyers. They knew I was a prominent voice for the so-called Ritvik appointment idea, and they tried to defeat me without mentioning two things: the GBC meeting of 1976, and where Prabhupada said something about should they have elections. Prabhupada said no elections. He meant for that year, but the point is, he said that on tape. They could have used it. They didn't. And they could have used the appointment tape. They didn't. The lawyers working for the GBC, that were trying to defeat me in the deposition. They could not defeat me, and their strongest argument would have been the appointment tape. But they knew that the appointment tape had no legal standing whatsoever.
Mm.
And guess who else knew that the so-called appointment tape had no legal standing whatsoever?
Buddy Narayan.
Try Srila Prabhupada.
Oh, okay, yes.
So you're saying
Srila
that
Prabhupada followed his own quote. When you speak, you can say any damn thing. I'm not saying that to make an excuse around legitimately, what's the guru? That whole tape, and you listen to it, there's some confusing double trip step backs in it also, about who's actually the guru and what the disciple is actually the disciple.
Mm.
And there's parts of it that were undecipherable that got deciphered later. But the real point is, it's not admissible in a court of law.
Mm.
And the court of Yamaraj is the ultimate court of law.
Right.
Mm.
So why would anybody...
So just picture of what you're trying to get a picture of what you are stating, that what you're saying the final order is, and you're saying the July 9th letter is the final order, and the order is that people become Prabhupada's disciples, but there is no guru situation. Like there is no nobody after the July 9th letter. The people are initiated as Prabhupada's disciples by the 11 Ritviks if they are following this.
No,
but then
the 11 Ritviks, that was just, Prabhupada was just handing that to them, just like you throw a bone to a dog.
Yeah, but the people become initiated as Prabhupada's disciples, and then the disciples, you're saying the disciples, let me finish. You're saying the disciples are then to rectify the situation and create something different after that. Like
Different after what?
after what we're saying, the July 9th letter, in this example, we were saying that if the July 9th letter is the final order, because it's a legal document, then because the July 9th letter is legal document, then the disciples that are initiated are the ones who are supposed to rectify the situation from that position. The disciples who become Prabhupada, the people who become Prabhupada's disciples henceforward, they are supposed to.
It doesn't matter how they become Prabhupada's disciples. The July 9th letter is not necessary for them to become Prabhupada's disciples. Nor does the July 9th letter indicate that the only people that give initiation are those first 11. Otherwise, there'd be practically nobody left to give initiation. How many of the original 11 are still even alive? There was no provision made for successors to the successors. And by the way, the word, I belittle the word Ritvik, the term Ritvik, is that Ritvik became very popular amongst Muslims. The word Ritvik, they would name their son, their firstborn son, Ritvik, taking it from the Vedic Sanskrit. Anyhow, the main thing is Prabhupada had Ritviks, if you want to call them that. Kamal created, if you read that July 9th letter, another interesting thing about the July 9th letter is who signed it. Did you ever notice?
Tamal, is it?
Yes, Tamal signed it. And
it says also Srila Prabhupada's signature appears on the original.
Yes, and where does it appear?
I don't know. I don't have the original in front of me.
Okay, well, I'll just let you know. Tamal signed in big bold letters right underneath there. He had created that document essentially, and the conversation leading up to that document proves it. He signed it. He introduced the term Ritvik. Now, I did not surprise you by saying, why did he pick a word that nobody knew? And I'll answer you, he picked that word because nobody knew. Nobody ever heard Ritvik. Representative of the Acharya or officiating Acharya is something that everyone could relate to and probably not accept very easily. But when he said Ritvik, Prabhupada created the word Ritvik. He didn't. I think Narayana Maharaj created the word Ritvik and told it to Tamal. Because in his Narayana Maharaj's highly offensive book, Priyabandhu, Shiksha Guru Priyabandhu, which is exactly the opposite conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, now is the time for friendly talks to cease. Narayana Maharaj says, he's my Shiksha Guru and he's my Priyabandhu, my best friend. And Krishna himself said that is not allowed in the Bhagavad Gita, which Narayana Maharaj should have been aware of. You see? So we're dealing with a bunch of scoundrels. So now, I never got to tell you the final nail in the coffin concerning what is the proof that Prabhupada knew that they were going to become regular gurus as soon as possible. And that is, he sent them specifically to take instruction from Sridhar Maharaj, ostensibly on how to be Ritviks. But Sridhar Maharaj probably never even heard of Ritviks. So what was Sridhar's role? Sridhar had been the brains behind, if you will call it brains, the brains behind having Ananta Vasudev appointed to be the Acharya of the Gaudiya Math against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's express wishes, which was that the Gaudiya Math have a governing body commission based on the style of the British Indian Railway. And they refused to do it. The disciples wanted a guru. They didn't want, so they initiated a homosexual Ananta, who later on committed suicide. His wife committed suicide. His son was going to expose them for the crimes they were committing, so they both committed suicide on different occasions. And Sridhar is the one who put that guy in charge. So Prabhupada sent them to Sridhar, a person he had criticized on and on and on as having destroyed the Gaudiya Math. So why would he send his favorite disciples that he had made into ritviks? Why would he send them to Sridhar Maharaj when he didn't trust Sridhar Maharaj and he'd spent a decade saying that he didn't trust Sridhar Maharaj? And the answer is because he knew that Sridhar would facilitate them becoming regular gurus. So if you really want to knock the socks off of poor Krishna Kant, my buddy Krishna Kant, take into account that Prabhupada intended for them to become regular gurus, not because he wanted regular gurus, but because he wanted to keep the movement from being split into pieces and destroyed.
Here's another interesting one. A lot of devotees, whether right or wrong, but they could be right. How do you answer this? They would say that the guru's instructions are transcendental and they transcend things like the law of earth. So because they transcend the law of earth, the appointment tape would also be valid, because it's the spiritual master's sound vibration, and that sound vibration is absolute. So because it is absolute, as long as they have the recording, then that should be as good as law for devotees, especially for disciples who want to follow the spiritual master.
So would you agree that Kirtanananda's words should also be considered transcendental?
No, I don't actually. I have a quote to share with you on that, Ronald. If you could give me the host for the meeting, I actually found a quote which is very interesting about Kirtanananda and the fact that his link was lost to Prabhupada.
Really?
Yeah. If you could, it's a very interesting.
Well, the host is Ramachandra.
Yeah, Ramachandra, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I gave you the host. You're the host now.
Okay, cool. Hang on a second.
So one more thing, while you're looking it up, our official time is 10 p.m., so it's now 10:17. So what I can do, if Narayana Prabhu wants to continue, I'll give Greg Prabhu the host, and then he can run it. You can end it whenever Narayana Prabhu is finished with you.
Okay. Yeah, it should be shared on screen now.
Yes, I see it.
Yeah, okay, Prabhu, yeah. It says, Kirtanananda may be eager to address in the Harvard University, but recently he has lost his link on account of disobedience. One who has not pleased the spiritual master cannot have any access in the realm of Krishna consciousness. By misuse of one's independence, one at once becomes a victim of Maya, and thus he loses all importance in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, very important.
Srila Prabhupada's letter.
What's the date of that statement?
6th of the 10th, 1967.
And you're saying now that Kirtanananda is chosen to be successor Acharya. How do you reach that conclusion?
No,
I
did not say he was chosen to be successor Acharya. I'm saying
because Prabhupada said. You're saying the words of the Acharya. Are you saying the Acharya is not capable of lying in behalf of his movement?
Well, anything is possible. So anything is possible. So I'm giving I'm giving you the hypothetical.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely there. I heard Prabhupada tell lies.
Yeah,
Okay.
Prabhupada said when he didn't have any temples, he said, I have 108 temples, and he didn't have 108 temples at that time. So that's there.
Vishesh has joined us now. So I believe he would definitely like to say something on this. Yeah.
Vashish, the lawyer for ISKCON, is here.
Vishesh Prabhu, are you with us there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
We
Krishna,
do need
Vishesh
to
Prabhu.
wind this up, but that was a very interesting quote. If that is the case, how could Kirtanananda have been considered as a successor guru?
Yeah. Well, before we let Vishesh say something, there was this point which I said to you, which was that the point which I made to you was if the spiritual master's sound vibration is absolute, then his instructions in the appointment type, I mean, they would also be valid. But I mean, I know. Are you saying everything in the appointment type is a lie? Everything, like from start to finish, or are you saying there's no?
Like what? Is that these men are going to be the Ritviks? Why would Prabhupada take people that are poisoning him and make them into Ritviks?
But he did that in the July 9th letter as well.
Well, that's the same thing, right? Or the appointment date?
But you were saying, why would he make them into Ritviks? You were saying that the July 9th letter is a lawful document.
Do you think that Prabhupada was so spiritually blind he doesn't know that they were poisoning him?
Okay, but your argument was that you were saying that why would he make them 11 Ritviks in the appointment type, but in the July 9th letter he also made them 11 Ritviks, and you say that is lawful and bona fide.
I'm saying that he did that to save the movement from being destroyed by the very people that he supposedly appointed. If he hadn't appointed them, they would have destroyed the movement and just chopped it up into pieces and then gone to war with each other.
Yeah,
that's what happened with the Gaudiya Math.
Yes.
Are we going to start finding fault with Bhaktisiddhanta for the collapse of the Gaudiya Math?
Yeah, Prabhupada writes that in the Chaitanya Chaitamrita, where they fought in the courts for 40 years or something. Right?
Yeah. And is that the fault of Bhaktisiddhanta?
Yeah. If you put it like that.
His words are absolute. If Prabhupada's words are absolute, why aren't Bhaktisiddhanta's words absolute?
Yeah.
But Bhaktisiddhanta said a self-effulgent Acharya would appear. So there is absolute.
Well, he was a self-effulgent Acharya himself.
But he said one would appear, so that would resolve his will.
Yes. So that was resolved.
Yeah, so his will was resolved. What was it that I will appoint a GBC, which he did. They fought for years, and then the self-effulgent Acharya overturned all the fighting in the GBC. So not overturn. It didn't overturn it, but he made it like practically useless because Prabhupada took the mission out of their hands.
Yeah, so Prabhupada was surrounded by rebellious enemies who were trying to become gurus after him without even the slightest qualification, unless you consider poisoning your guru is some sort of qualification. Do you consider that? Is poisoning your guru a qualification?
Well, no, it says here that if one is disobedient, it says here if one is disobedient, he loses his qualification. It says if one is disobedient.
Then all of them lost their qualification, didn't they?
Yeah, so they were not important in Krishna consciousness at the time. There was no importance to their actions.
The so-called appointment tape, they were poisoning them there too. But you say they're qualified.
I did not say they're qualified. I'm saying he simply gave them a position. Giving somebody a position does not mean you are giving them you're ratifying their qualifications. It doesn't say that you're certifying them as qualified. If you give someone a position, you can give an unqualified person a position. It's possible.
It's an opportunity, or it could be an emergency. Sometimes
there must be some reason for it.
An ordinary man is made into a sergeant or a colonel on the battlefield. It's called a battlefield appointment because there's no one else to do the job. But he hasn't gone through the training to become an officer, but he takes on the role of officer in order to get the job done. So that basically everything that Prabhupada did was basically an emergency basis.
Okay, well, let us hear from Vashish then, and hear another side of the from a different viewpoint.
Will you be able to join us on Wednesday?
It's possible. Yeah. Perhaps we can
want
just.
You to join. You're very intelligent.
Well, thank you.
You see,
thank you, Prabhu. It's Krishna's.
I lived through this. A lot of it happened in my presence. So
yes.
I can't expect the same of you. You've heard from people and you've read things, but it's not the same thing as living through it because you didn't hear it with your own ears, or experience it, or know what it was like, or what the atmosphere was like in the movement at that time.
Well, if anyone has to leave, we can continue the conversation, and then if anyone wants to see the end of the conversation, they can watch it later. We can continue talking about.
What? Let's hear from Vashish, and then. But I just wanted to be sure that you come back on because your voice is very important.
Oh, I disagree, but I will. I might come back anyway.
even if your voice were not important for any other reason, it's important because you're raising issues that can then be resolved and put on Facebook and projected into a potential 25,000 man audience. You see.
I hope I can do something useful, but it's mainly important that I listen. And
what you've done tonight is extremely useful.
Jai Prabhu, Vashish Prabhu.
Don't look at it as your opinion, my opinion. There's nothing to do with our opinions. It has to do with what happens.
No,
what happens is what counts, not what we think happens.
Yeah, we need to find the spiritual master's opinion, and that's it.
Actually, we need to find the spiritual master's purpose.
Both.
That's what he thinks.
Are they not the same thing?
Not always. Why would the spiritual master give sannyas to people that said that he is God, being provoked by Brahmabhutas that were trying to destroy ISKCON? What his godbrothers wanted, Madhava Maharaj and Tirtha Maharaj and the others wanted, was to be able to say, see, Bhaktivedanta, he was a householder, he didn't even come to the mosque very often, but then he goes to America, and next thing you know, he gets so puffed up, he has disciples saying that he's God. That's what their intention was.
Okay. So,
otherwise, why did they go to the trouble of hiring a bogus, corrupted Brahmin priest who could evoke Brahmabhutas, ghosts? Why did he do that? If they didn't want to defame Prabhupada, it wasn't a mistake on the part of his disciples. They were haunted by a ghost that was doing it for them. You see.
Okay, well, let Vashish Prabhu try and answer that question then, if you would like to.
Answer the question.
Hare Krishna. Firstly, I would like to ask Ramchandra Prabhu how much time is left for the Zoom meeting.
Hare Krishna.
We can go as long as you need to talk, Vashish. It's fine. If anyone else needs to leave, they can leave and they can listen to it later.
Yes.
We're over the 10 o'clock hour. It's 10:30. So we can continue any way we like. It's being recorded. It will be published. So this is why we're doing it, is to set the record straight. But to set the record straight, first we have to know what happened. But it's hard to do because so many lies have been told and so much neglect and so many things have been left out of the narrative that people believe that what's happening in ISKCON right now is fine, which it is not. There are not that many things wrong with what's happening in ISKCON. But the main thing is the GBC not being elected has enabled gurus to be appointed by mundaners, meaning people that are accountable only to the government. The GBC is only accountable to the government. not to the devotees, because they represent ISKCON in the legal context with whoever made them into a corporation. So they're just like they're corporate directors. It has nothing to do with spiritual life. And that's why they're elected, supposedly elected. But they became tyrants. They became totalitarian. And that needs to be corrected. You correct that one thing, the movement will breathe a gigantic sigh of relief, like a saintly person with a spear being taken out of their back. Well, go ahead, Ashish.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm hearing you. Actually, I appreciate very much. I appreciate very much the fact that some new devotees like Greg Prabhu, I think from 3 weeks he's been joining the conversation, the Zoom conversation, and even we have now a new devotee who's just joined, Agrani Krishnadas Prabhu. I think he's very, very knowledgeable. It is obvious the way he has he replied to Kaushal Prabhu's comments about the usage of Sanskrit term, the Nirukti dictionary, the Nirukta, the Vedangas, the way he was explaining it was very nice. And
excellent.
Yeah, it was excellent actually.
And now your contribution.
Yeah. Ashish Prabhu, we're interested to hear what you have. Well, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about the July 9th letter and the appointment type.
What happened? Ashish got no
I don't know. Yeah, is he Ashish? Are you with us?
Actually, I got removed kind of, yeah.
No, you're still here.
Okay. Yeah, what I was saying actually? Well, I got cut off somewhere, I think.
I don't know. We just heard you now. We haven't heard you say anything up until now. So.
No, you didn't hear me? Like I was saying. Like,
sorry. Oh, yeah, you said, the last thing you said was that Prabhu made a very nice, this new Prabhu who came along, he made a very nice comment to Narayana and things like that. And that was the last thing we heard. And then
Agrani Krishnadas Prabhu and Kaushal Prabhu, and when I was saying like regarding the Ritvik appointment of Ritviks in the 9th July letter, I was saying that myself and Narayana Prabhu, whenever we discuss this, it always ended up in an altercation, right? And some which I shouldn't be doing. Actually, I lost. It appeared that I kind of disrespected him. Okay. On live on the YouTube.
I do not recall any altercation. I just recall that Ashish is very intelligent.
No, but anyway, it's all thanks to whatever I'm trying to present. It is what I've learned from my seniors, right? From my senior Siksha gurus, like or you say, instructing spiritual masters, as the English words. But based on the book Final Order, I base many people also base many Prabhupada Nugas also base their opinion belief, right? Or their conclusion based on this book. So maybe we should try to read. We are reading a few occasions. We've been reading like the will. Recently, I saw you and Ramchandra Prabhu was reading the will. So we should be reading the will again. Read the 9th July letter again. And there are some important conversations like 28th May conversation. I don't think you have gone through these conversations very thoroughly. Maybe someday